Saud Al Junaidy. I work in the field of travel and tourism. Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting story actually. In fact, from my side, I felt it was, an orchestration by God that I'm going to find out about this particular cancer. I was living my life as normal, working, training and such. Suddenly I got this urge that I wanted to get a bicycle, and I started riding, these sort of long rides, 1 hour, 2 hours and such. So after around maybe 3 weeks, I started to feel some pain, in one of my testicles at that time. So I wanted to, I didn't know actually what it was. I even looked online and, it's a pretty embarrassing, situation. You don't know who to ask, so you ask Google, naturally. So at that point, it said this is something natural, for bikers to happen, because of the pressure, especially for longer rides. So I was like, okay, maybe that could be the case. So I'll just let it be for some time. And then what happened was I sort of ignored it. So we went to a private clinic, which is basically nearby, and they were providing the tests. So when I went there, I went for the corona test, myself and my wife. And there I just asked, one of the doctors, since he was here in front of me, I asked him if I have, this sort of an issue, who do I talk to, what type of a doctor do I see? So he told me that, okay, we have experienced urologist, you can get a diagnosis from him. So I was like, okay, thankfully at that time my test became negative and I was able to make the appointment and I went. I went for this appointment and I told the doctor, the symptoms that I had. So he did an ultrasound and he was able to diagnose it right there and then that I have a tumor growing in one of my testicles. So I went ahead and got a second opinion, a third opinion. So it was confirmed that I had this, tumor, and I had to do the surgery, which I did. And after that, it came out that it is a malignant cancer. And after some scans, it also showed that it was it spread to my abdomen sort of area. So that means I had to go through some chemotherapy sessions, just to reduce the inflammation which was there. And that is how you can say I found out. It was forced upon me that all the scenarios to go and check, first of all to get a bicycle, then to go to the doctor, for something else, but then finding out in this way. So what I understood was this is part of a journey that I had to go through. At a time also in my life that I felt it is happening to me for a reason. There is, there's a divine plan, you can say. I felt that it was, selfish for me to go through this journey on my own. Initially, I was a bit skeptical, whether this sort of awareness or this sort of information would be accepted in our community, talking about this sort of a cancer. But thankfully, once I told my family, once I told, my friends and even the followers that I had in my private account, there seemed to be a lot of sort of acceptance, and people sort of did feel that it's a message that should be known, and the awareness is important for people to understand about this cancer. So that's the time that I decided that I'll go ahead and start this page of One's Path, and to document basically my journey through the cancer treatment process. It was of course new to me as well. I was going through the experience firsthand, but I understood that it had a sort of a bigger picture, There was like a more important message that I had to sort of spread across. And also to sort of remain, positive, even during this time, and give that sort of positivity while I was going through it, because it was during a time where there was a lot of negativity around us as well. So I think it came basically also the right time for people also to witness. It is not only for myself, and definitely the more that I sort of talked about, in my Instagram page, the more that I did sort of receive, and a lot of positive vibes also. I was able to get a lot of advice as well. Yeah, it was a two-way give and take, between what I was able to give and what I was able to sort of get back. I'm a person, thankfully, I have this inherent quality that I always like to see, the brighter things in life, so to remain positive and try to see things from different sort of perspectives. So it did help me, go through this sort of treatment, as well as, the whole finding out, that I have cancer. It did do me well, this inherent quality. But at the same time, I think what played a major role is also my faith. You can say my faith in God, and understanding that it's sort of there's a bigger picture. It's not just about, what's the next couple of months, going to, do to me or my body or my mental state, but it was a journey that I had to go through, so that I can come out, either a better person, bigger at the other end. So that is something that I reminding myself. Although there would be points I was surrounded, you can say, by a sort of bitter environment, or environment which is not, so positive. But at the same time, there was always a learning in each, scenario. Like being in the hospital, for example, being plugged up, to like many tubes, and being surrounded by a lot of patients which are also going through, even worse episodes, than I was, and the pain and suffering which is there, and being a part of that. You tend to appreciate also life, and the health that you have, and so during times still sort of remain within sort of a positive light, and just push on forward, based on that, and just try to take bits and pieces. What can I take out of this scenario? What can I learn? And move forward based on that. In my life at that particular time, I think I was going through a very sort of fast-paced life, in terms of work, in terms of family life, and professional life. So it was quite a hectic sort of environment, and sort of what this did to me is it made me take a step back and sort of reflect as well. It forced me, that you need to cool down in that sense. And because of that, I was able to sort of concentrate only on, you can say, myself, which was a blessing in disguise as well. Even now that I'm sort of treated, from this cancer, there is those times, that I think back and I was like, okay, wow, it was a very, tremendous experience as well that I've sort of went through. And, you sort of sometimes wish that, some moments of those come back, because they were so, magnificent in that sense.